Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
For road2roota.com. Isn't it more fun being in silver on days that there's action, there's stuff happening, stuff is allowed to happen? Yeah, a lot going on right now in the silver world. A lot going on behind the scenes. I put out an email yesterday. I don't know if you guys are on my email blast, automatic free public road updates. Go to road2roota.com, click on, put your name and email address right in there, and you'll get the email updates. But here's what I put out yesterday. Let me just read this to you. Cliff High's dollar days are here, and we may see very little resistance to $50 in the next few weeks or months. Many silver stackers may not be ready to buy silver as it approaches $50, as they have been there before and have regretted not selling at the top back in 2011. But let's think about this rationally. Back in 2011, Blythe Masters was running the JP Morgan silver rigging operations. And in January 2011, Jamie Dimon installed his SWAT team leader, that's literally what he calls him, the SWAT team leader, of JP Morgan, a guy named William Daley, as Barack Obama's chief of staff. He came in, let the price rise from $20 to $50 to get the weak hands in, shorted massive amounts of COMEX silver going up, and then ultimately slammed the price of silver back down to $20 by the time he left office in January 2012, creating an artificial bear market in silver. That's what we've been in for the last 15 years. That's how powerful these riggers are. And by the way, this was proven many times. Bart Chilton, CFTC chairman, said exactly that JP Morgan was way off sides during this time. And they were shorting silver and literally taking physical silver into inventory, later to be used to lease out to Bank of America, to sublease it to all these banks that are in deep, deep trouble right now. And this is the end game. This is how banks die. And our whole entire system will die because of silver, because of what people like JP Morgan did. People like, it's like it's a person, Jamie Dimon and friends. This has been going on a very long time. And then I said, here's what I wrote about this as it was ongoing, active rigging operation in 2011. I wrote an article called Operation Silver Slam. So this is, those of you who've been around long enough, it's still posted on the website. Look up Operation Silver Slam at road2roota.com. I'm going to show you. Well, there he is. There's Bill Daley from Jamie Dimon's SWAT team. It was, this is not like hidden stuff. Whenever there's a problem, Jamie Dimon's going to throw his number one SWAT team guy at that problem. I don't know who it is now. I don't think it's Bill Daley. And this is what he did to silver during his time in office as chief of staff for Barack Obama. And if you look up Barack Obama on the road, Roota, you're gonna see a great. It was an interview, day in the life of the president, where Larry Summers comes in. We got to talk. We got to get the cameras out of here. It was all about silver back then. But that's what it did. So here's where Bill Daley comes in, all the way up to $50, slams it down. That's how the game is played, my friends. And a lot of people didn't know what was going on back then. We do now. We know these banks illegally, artificially use computers and derivatives to set the price of silver. It's not freely traded. Nobody knows what the price of silver is today. And when we blow by $50, we're off to the races. Anyway, let me tell you what else I said. So, the reason I don't think $50 will once again serve as a legitimate cap on the price of silver during this bull run is that I know that the 2011 capping silver was an orchestrated affair by JP Morgan, as admitted to by Bart Chilton. And then ultimately, they got busted for silver manipulation in 2019. I also know there's nobody I can see preparing for any silver pump and dump at the moment. So during this time of JP Morgan's pump and dump in 2011, I saw Bill Daley. I saw exactly what Jamie Dimon was doing. And we saw exactly what happened. They let the price rise to $50, get all weak hands in, and then slam it. That's not happening. There's nothing going on right now that I can tell. So here we are. You can either be prepared to sell your silver as it rises to its all-time high from 1980 and 2011, or hodl through the fake price caps to see what's on the other side of the road to Route A. If you're a buyer of silver right now, don't hesitate to call your local dealer that you trust, or get in touch with Andy Scheckman at Miles Franklin. That's our guy. We've vetted him. We've vetted him for years, and with a silver probe, he's the real thing. MilesFranklin.com. Just send him an email, info@milesfranklin.com if you want to get silver. All right. So that was sent out yesterday to all the public road members. This is free. Put your name and email address in there. Let's talk about this. So this is the last 15 years in gold and silver. I mean, it's also reflected in the gold-silver ratio, which I've talked about many times. It is extremely rare in history that it's over 100 to 1. And when it is, it's pure manipulation. It's a great time to swap your gold for silver. We're at like 90-something to 1 now. It's amazing time to swap your gold for silver. But as you can see what happens, look at over here is the silver's in blue, gold is in gold. The last time we ran to $50 in 2011, this is exactly what happened. What happens right now. That gold kept rising, but didn't do what silver did. And this happened in 1980 as well. When silver starts running way above where gold is, it happens very fast and very violently. I mean, this wasn't that fast. It was a couple years worth. We're in the inverse right now. So silver's going to have to blow past the gold-silver ratio. I think the true gold-silver ratio, if it was freely traded, was probably about 1 to 10. Yes, 1 ounce of silver buys you 10 ounces of gold. Bix, you're crazy, blah, blah, blah. It's never happened in human history, blah, blah. I understand that. We've also never been at the end of a 100-year industrial cycle where they used all the silver up. And massive amounts of gold that can be found all over the place that the world's not talking about. So yes, you got to take your mind out of, it hasn't happened in our lifetime, Bix, to, of course it hasn't happened in our lifetime. In our lifetime, we've never used 100 years worth of silver and consumed it. The consummation? The use of silver in the last 100 years is literally over, the estimate's 55 billion ounces of silver is gone. With another, maybe 6 billion ounces left. That's not true with gold. It's the opposite for gold. That's why I say it's not going to be a 1-to-1 relationship. If we keep using it in industrial, it'll probably go to 1 to 10. And I know a lot of people saying, no, Bix, you're full of shit. You've been saying that forever. I've been saying it since they introduced the first computer trading programs in the I haven't been saying it, but I've been analyzing since the 1970s when Alan Greenspan first introduced, Alan Greenspan and other people, the electronic banking system and electronic trading systems into our markets in the 1970s and 80s. And then it got away from him. The banks started running these computer rigging jobs. Greenspan got in as the head of the Fed. Within 2 months, he tried to computer crash the system. The Black Monday of 1987. It wasn't big enough. And then he tried to do it again in 2007, just after he left the Fed. It wasn't big enough. Well, he tried to do it with .com, not as big, but when the .com crash happened. He tried to do it in 2007. Yes, absolutely, he knew exactly what was going to happen if you keep interest rates too low and you figure out a way to take mortgages off the balance sheets of the banks. As a matter of fact, he wrote this. He wrote that exact thing in his doctorate thesis that no one's been allowed to read. I think it was Barron's got a hold of it. And that's what they talked about. He was talking about a huge bubble in housing and then a crash in the system. I believe that doctorate thesis is called the road to Roota, the road to Route A. Route A being a programming term that he installed very, very long time ago. If you think I've completely lost my mind, go back and look at the Road to Roota documents, watch the videos, and you'll understand, holy shit, this is really happening. Not just like Bix said, but pretty damn close. Closer than anybody else I've heard talk about how are they rigging silver and what's gold got to do with this new monetary system where it's going ahead. Will there be Nestra? Will there be Gestra? Will there be the quantum financial system? No. Will there be an XRP system? No. I'm telling you right now, XRP, the biggest con out of all of them. Not one central bank would ever allow that to happen. Not one country would ever allow that to happen in the fiat system. If they can't control the fiat system, they're going to implode it. And they can't control it. No, they're not going to XRP. I'm sorry, all you people who bought into XRP, the largest ICO in human history, they've raised like $43 billion on a rumor that it's going to take the place of Swift. It's not even good technology anymore. It's sad. But hey, that's another story. Get back to silver. All right. Go to roadtoruta.com if you want to learn about what I'm talking about. I put 2 videos up, The Secrets of the Fed and Golden Oldies to the Crypto Future. Go check that out, because cryptos, all you silver bugs are saying, Bix, don't even talk about cryptos. They're nothing. They're vaporware. Completely clueless, my friends. You better understand it better than you do. If it's called vaporware, you don't understand it. You really don't understand it. And you've missed out massively, obviously, so far. You're going to miss out in the future. The future, Theta is the call. The Theta, it's a technology. It's a software download, just like Veritasium. Oh, by the way, for all you interested, we are currently, and not for very much longer, giving away 1 Veritasium token with every private road subscription. Go check it out. Reggie Middleton does have the patent on probably 95% of what crypto does these days. And I think in this month he's going to get the ruling against him. It wasn't a ruling. It was the settlement he was forced to settle for. He's going to get that vacated at the courts. So he's going to get back his $98 million. He'll probably get back all the money they stole from him, probably at the fiat money price, because they stole his Ethereum and Bitcoin. They stole everything from Reggie. Why? Because he invented a way to run our system, our current system, without the bankers, without the middlemen, without the brokerage houses, peer-to-peer transactions in the capital markets. That's what he invented. So will it come true? Will Cliff High's data come true that 1 Veritasium token will equal 1 Bitcoin? I think it will. I've been calling it a lottery ticket for the last 10 years because it was. What are the odds they're going to give Reggie Middleton, the guy they literally took down, almost threw him in jail for life? What are the odds that they'd give him patents for this? And yet they did. What are the odds of the old system crashing, the bankers being exposed for rehypothecating everything, and the government coming to Reggie say, hey, we need help with this whole rehypothecation, high-frequency trading ridiculousness. Can we implement your technology? Can you show us how to do it? That's what Cliff High's data says, and we'll find out. We're giving away 1 Veri token. All right, let's just talk silver. Right now we're looking at $34.45. There's all kinds of technical numbers that around $35, $36. Once it gets past that, it runs like right to 50. And then you will have some selling at 50. You will have the banksters trying to convince you that 50 is a hard stop for silver for the rest of humanity, no matter how much fiat money they print. That's a lie. It's a lie. Yes, they did cap silver at 50 and gold at 800 back in 1980. They did that. Paul Volcker came out and said, I wish I had controlled the price of gold during this time. Bullshit, you did. Alan Greenspan had been controlling it since the early 1970s with his computer programs. And anybody who doesn't know that Greenspan was the best financial computer programmer in the world has not done their homework. He was, by far. Not many people were writing programs back in the 1960s. Greenspan and his best friend. Who's his best friend? A guy named John Kimeny. Back then, they went to high school together. John Kimeny was so smart, he was Albert Einstein's mathematician. That's how smart John Kimeny was. And he invented basic computing, along with this other guy. And Alan Greenspan used that information, used those computer programs to assist Arthur Burns, the head of the Fed, to create the electronic financial monetary system and to rig it and to control it with the cover of the CFTC. And that's how we got to where we are today. Yes, they've allowed the price of gold to go up, 400x since 1980. Why'd they allow that to happen? Because they have all the gold. Bankers have massive amounts of gold. And as the bankers fail, what are they going to sell? They have to sell. They're required by law to sell liquid assets. Gold's a pretty damn liquid asset. So I do see the collapse in the price of gold. Briefly, they've printed a lot more fiat money than they have got their hands on gold. But I think there's 10 times as much gold as there is that they tell you. Jeffrey Christian's a liar. There's not 230,000 tons of gold that's ever been mined. Try 2 million tons. And there's more on the ground. Sorry, gold bugs. But hey, all the gold bugs are saying, yeah, Bix, bullshit. I've been right. And you've been wrong for the last 25 years. Absolutely, you're correct. I haven't been wrong. I've been saying the price of silver is massively price suppressed compared to everything else. That's the only thing now that the bankers care about is keeping that price of silver low. Why? Because they're the shorts. And the price of silver will affect 99% of the population that uses electronics. You don't want to pay $1,000, $2,000 for your cell phone. You don't want to pay $10,000 for a flat screen TV you can get now for, $300. The world's about to change. It's going to change very drastically. And you're going to want to have silver in your own possession as it does. All right, back to this. Yeah, silver has a long way to go. This is silver at $34.32. Here's the gold at $3,357. You're going to see silver, just like back here, silver moonshot over gold. And then it comes down to, okay, who are the new riggers? What's the new rigging operation? Or are we going to free markets? Are they going to shut down the COMEX, which is futures and options rigging? I think they will. When we have a banking collapse, everything's shut down anyway. Will they restart like the COMEX that controls all prices? They might try, but no one would believe them. Those people who are in power now, the Bessett's of the world and the Jerome Powell and all these central banks around the world, they will not be the ones in power after the collapse. And this collapse is necessary. And Warren Buffett calls it a weapon of this is the derivative collapse, mind you, the weapon of mass financial destruction, because it was set up to be exactly that. Sorry, when Trump talks about the golden dome, he's talking about gold. He's literally talking about a new gold monetary system. Literally. He's been talking about gold quite a bit, the golden age, the golden blah, blah, blah. We have massive amounts of gold, and we've been ready for this probably since 1913, since the signing of the Fed, or 1900, since they found all that gold in the Grand Canyon and at Chocolate Mountain in California and all over the world. Read Yamashita's gold. There's 300,000 tons of gold there. We've been lied to. Monetarily, we've been lied to. So yes, I do get excited when we see stuff like this. The price of silver going where the bankers don't want it to go. Will they slam it down? Of course, how far can they slam it? They can probably slam it to minus $40 like they did with oil. It's not that hard. These are electronic blips. You click a mouse, boom. If you're the Exchange Stabilization Fund run by the U.S. Treasury, you can click that mouse, boom. Does that mean you can get physical silver in your hands you have someone else pay you $40 not to store it? No, nobody's that stupid. Well, they were. They're not anymore. Nope. Every silver investor knows exactly what's going on if they've been in silver for more than a couple years. Thank God for the internet, right? All right, here's what I find exciting. Check out what happened yesterday on the COMEX. Look at that. A jump from volume of 45,000 contracts, which is 250 million ounces, to more than double. This is over 500 million ounces of, not contracts, ounces of silver, electronic bullshit silver traded hands yesterday. But here's the exciting thing. EFP, Exchange for Physical, all last year, all you heard about was EFP, Exchange for Physical. They're taking contracts from the COMEX and they're sending them to London for delivery. That's all we heard last year. This year it's been really quiet, literally almost dead on the Exchange for Physical because the deliveries had gone to the United States of America. We're having the largest silver delivery year in history. And the retail customer is almost non-existent. Nobody's buying physical silver. Like I said, because they're stackers. They know what the banking cabal can do. They can set the price to minus $40 in silver. They're stackers. They stack little bits at a time, and they slow down when the price rises. Why? Because they don't want to get nailed again like they did in 2011 when the price went to 50 and everyone was all excited and worked up. But I showed you, it was Blythe Masters, Jamie Dimon, and Bill Daley, the cabal of silver and the wicked witch, Blythe Masters, who orchestrated the crash in the mortgage-backed securities back in 2008, then was put in charge of the gold and silver rigging at JP Morgan through derivatives. Blythe Masters is a derivative expert, if she's still with us. I don't know. Then she went in and tried to do it to cryptos, and they kicked her out. I think she's in jail right now. I'm not quite sure. Nobody's heard from her. She'll give a speech every once in a while. It's like Joe Biden comes around, gives a speech every once in a while. One day he's 6'4", the next day he's 5'2". Nobody knows what's real anymore, and that's the way they want to keep it. Anyway, so yeah, look at this exchange for physical. All of a sudden it's back. Does that mean that they're out of silver in the COMEX? Could be. This is over 9 million ounces, 9.3 million ounces that of contracts that were bought that day, and their July contracts bought that day and sent immediately over to England for delivery. Next month, this month, I don't know when it's going to get delivered, but that's how the game is played. Open interest jumped right here, 35 million ounces. Everybody's getting all excited because literally the price of silver has been dormant for so long. There's so much money that can flow into silver. And the banks are in deep shit. And they know it. And oh, by the way, we're on the brink of World War III with the deep state still running the show. Trump had no idea that the Ukraine was going to pull off this operation where they're blowing up a third of the Russian long-range aircraft. What? And they didn't tell Trump about it? That's not a good thing. Trump's going to pull the rug on that little Ukrainian pedophile. Is it true or is it not true? That's what you have to ask yourself. It's probably bullshit. I mean, I didn't see enough video evidence of, 40 long-range bombers being blown. I think it's just bullshit. Everything's bullshit these days because every one of these guys has an agenda. They're pulling out a new COVID now. They're trying to pull that card. Trump said, hell no. We ain't going to don't believe any of these ridiculous people who are pumping the COVID narrative. I loved it. How can they think the world can fall for it twice? And by the way, people died from the shot, not from the sickness. All right. Where are we? Yeah, I'm a little excited. And here's Harvey Organ's blog. Great way to track what's going on with the exchange for physical. The average exchange for physical in the past has been averaging about 100 million ounces per month. You get to about 1.2 billion ounces for delivery. These are contracts coming from the COMEX going over to the LBMA. And we were literally dead. Last month we only did 30 or 29 million ounces, where the average is, 100 million to 102 million, something like that. And this month, the first day was nothing. And all of a sudden, we have this. We have, bang, 1.9 million ounces in a single day. Said, damn it, I want it delivered, and I want it delivered in London, and I'm going to pick it up next month in that contract. That's pretty cool. That's a lot of silver. So again, here you have the COMEX deliveries. As you can see, massive amounts of deliveries every delivery month this year. So the delivery months have been March. We have 16,000 contracts plus the micro contracts, which is the 1,000-ounce contract. It adds a couple million ounces. I think it was 81 million ounces. 82 total, which is up there with the highest ever. It might be the highest ever. And then we had May, came in just short of that. I think we ended up at 70. I mean, there's 15 here, which is 75 million. Plus we had 2.7, so that's 78 million. Another almost record. I think July will be a monster. Might be. I'm not sure because of this EFP all of a sudden coming to life again. If they continue through the month and we have a exchange for physical over 200 million ounces, all that means is there's no silver left in the U.S. and they had to go to England to get it. We'll find out. And how will we know? We look at the open interest for July right here. It's at currently 117 million ounces, up contracts, 117,000 contracts, which is 500, almost 600 million ounces of silver on that trading contract. Yes, it goes down. These 95% of these are owned by the banks on the long and the short side. Not many people really trade silver. Jeffrey Christian says, "Oh, there's millions of people acting in a market that is equaling, self-sustaining, all that bullshit that they say." No, it's a handful of traders with a very small handful, less than 4, that control it all and can destroy. Who do you think destroyed Bear Stearns' silver contract? The same guys who took it over, J.P. Morgan Chase. They took him out. They took out Lehman. These guys are ruthless. You either play their game or they're going to take you out. So that's why, Buffett, you don't hear Buffett saying, "Yeah, I've already bought 100 million or a billion ounces of silver in this game and it's just being delivered." You don't hear him saying that. They'd take him out. Not that he would care at 93, 94. He'd rather take down the system. So, yeah, I think ultimately a lot of this silver is ending up in the hands of Buffett and Elon. And Elon probably did it originally to save all his companies that use massive amounts of silver, but probably now he did it to be patriotic, to take out the bad guys, the criminals, which will take down the system, so hang on tight. All right, so yeah, and if you want to know who is playing the game this month, this non-delivery month, so far over 11 million ounces have been stood for delivery. Just decent. We probably get probably one of the biggest non-delivery months this year, because you can go in at any time and take delivery, which we see right here. 356 contracts stood for delivery, which is what, 1.5 million ounces. It's like they come in, they say, "I want delivery now," and they walk out with over 1 million ounces of silver. I don't know if there's a cap on that, but definitely you'd be frowned upon at the evil banking level if you went in and said, "Okay, I want 10 or 20 million." And they give 20. I think 20 million is the max you could take out per month. I don't know, something like that. Position limit caps. Everybody wants caps, but there are caps, but the CFTC can give you a certificate of a waiver. In your case, we'll give you a waiver. And who are they going to give waivers? Rustam Benham, the head of the CFTC, told us exactly who. We were able to tamp down the price of silver when it almost hit $30. Due to the market structure, we were able to tamp down the. Why were they so scared of silver going over $30? It's over $30 now. This is 2021, at the end of January. Why were they so scared? Because the massive banks were hugely offsides. That's why it was so scared, and they thought they can control it. Right now, I don't think they can control it. But how do you get out of it? I don't think this is short covering. I don't. I think this is Russia, India, and China saying, "Screw you, America. We know your weakness." Anyway, as you can see, who's standing? There's only 2 players this month playing with this 11 million ounces. Who is it? Obviously, J.P. Morgan Chase, under the customer category, which is ridiculous. I mean, that's J.P. Morgan. And they're probably, they have signed deals with all kinds of companies. We'll run your book for you, and we'll help you rig it. So J.P. Morgan's definitely in on it, but here's a not so big a surprise. Wells Fargo, who was literally a non-entity in silver, all of a sudden is taking all the silver and delivering all the silver. And they don't have any silver. So yeah, they had to load up on almost, almost 5 million ounces of silver in the beginning of June. This will probably increase. And then July delivery month, they're going to have to deliver it. We saw the same thing in the 2 months prior to last month's delivery month, where they delivered over 10 million ounces. They didn't have it. Look, they had to go and get it the 2 months before. So Wells Fargo has literally silver obligations out into the future. Probably they're the sublessee, one of the sublessees to Bank of America, who borrowed it from J.P. Morgan Chase. It's a con shell game, and we are in the middle of it. Anyway, that's what I got for you. Just remember, they can do anything to the price. They can set it at minus $40. They can set it at $1 million. They can set it at $10 million. They can set it at $10 billion. This is not silver you're looking at. These are not the drones you're looking for. This is a derivative price traded on a derivative market of futures and options with a delivery component. That's pretty much the only way price is determined. Now, Hong Kong Exchange is a little different. They're getting to a point where Hong Kong Exchange will set the price of silver, but they're not there yet. By the way, the rumors are, and the data coming out of Hong Kong is, they're almost out of silver completely. So maybe this is some silver going over to Hong Kong. I don't know. I don't know about that. but there's pretty good people looking at it closely in Hong Kong and all throughout Asia, the Shanghai Exchange. All right, that's what I got for you. Exciting times in silver. What do? You buy silver. Buy as much as you can. Go to road2roota.com, join the private road. First, put your name and email address for the free public road updates. Again, you put your name in there. They'll send you, my email service will send you an email saying, are you sure you want to do this? Because they don't like scammers and all that. You just approve it, and then you'll get the almost daily emails from Road to Roota. I'm going to do a little bit half and half these days. Half on the public road side and half on the private road where we talk about the deeper stuff. Believe it or not, what I just talked about was not deep stuff. Actually, all that information started out on the private road for the private road customers. And then it slowly over the years trickles into everything I say. Because once you understand the complexity and you remove the complexity, once you know a complexity, you know it's complex. All the things I said in this discussion, that's complex. But if you've been listening to me for long enough, and the more I understand it, it is not, to me, complex. It was very simple when I just spouted off about all these different things that have happened. So the complexity, the more you are involved in it, the less complex it gets. It's really not complex anymore to myself and to most of the Road to Roota people who have been following this. You just have to know how they play their games. And who is it and why they're doing it. And when it's going to end. That's the biggest thing. When it's going to end. I feel like we're going to, once we hit 50, I think they'll shut down the comics. Once we go over 50, they'll shut down the comics. Then we won't know the price of silver, by the way. Because they're just way too short. They would lose billions and billions and then trillions and trillions of dollars. A handful of banks who are over their skis. I don't know if it's JP Morgan. I doubt it. Because they use a lot of derivatives to leverage their position. But if their counterparties fail, of course it's JP Morgan on the hook. Because they'll be one of the counterparties on the short side. They have long and short, and I get that. But for the system to stay together, the $3 quadrillion derivative system, you need all the counterparties to be viable. All those contracts you wrote that they sold off the rest to somebody else and somebody else. I mean, ultimately, at the end of this chain, there's a little man in China selling silver shorts. It says, I don't care. This is fun. I'm just going to sell them. I don't care if I go bankrupt. Or maybe it is the Chinese central bank saying, I don't care about the West. Let's keep the price of silver short so we can pick up all the physical silver just like JP Morgan did. If they get mad at us, screw them. Who cares? We're just going to default on the contracts. Who cares? Look what they did to us during the 2008 crash. China ended up with most of the mortgage-backed derivatives. Are they going to feel bad if they destroy the United States of America? No. But that's not our country. Our country is not this electronic and derivative field monetary system. That's not our country. We are more than our financial markets, the rigged financial markets, where our most prized possession is not the gold in the ground, it's the people we have. I'm not going to get on a little rant about being American, but my birthday's coming up on the 4th of July, so I'm going to rant a little bit. Yes, we have an amazing country because we have an amazing group of people who have been conned very, very, very viciously by the banking cabal. And it's our fault. We fell for it. But we're not going to fall for it anymore. We're done. No, there won't be any bailouts of banks ever again. There will not be a central bank digital currency. There's no need for it. We already have a central bank digital currency because any CBDC, the central bank will never give up control of that blockchain. And that's the key part of a blockchain is that it's open source software and you can't change it. So they'd never do it unless it was in their favor, which means they're going to change the blockchain. And they're going to cut you out of their system. These are the people who are going to jail. They're not going to be the deciders after the derivative bubble blows. On that note, go to road2roota.com. Private road membership is $2.99 for a year, but you get a Veritasium token loaded on paper wallet. Now, we've been doing the giveaways in silver, the silver Roota coins, in cryptos for a very long time. Some have worked out, some haven't. Obviously, the 0.1 Bitcoin we gave away a long time ago, that's kind of worked out. It's worth over $10,000 now. And I think the membership at the time was $1.99. I mean, $199. And yeah, that turned out pretty good. I do think Veritasium will make a very surprising run to most people, especially in cryptos. And they're not going to like it. But a lot of these cryptos are violating Reggie's patent. And Trump's going to use it as a monkey wrench to throw it in the middle of the crypto world just to stir things up a bit. So, yeah, you always want one Veritasium in your pocket. And we load it on paper wallet for you. We mail it to your front door. Stick it in your safe with your silver. You can stack it. Those people, well, it's all vaporware. You can't touch it. There you go. You can touch this paper wallet that's loaded with one Veri token. If you really can't figure out the rest, it's fine. You don't need to get involved. For everybody who tells me, crypto's a scam or whatever, I say, fine. You don't need to get involved. How's that treating you so far? Exactly. And a lot of people say, just give me a couple cryptos so that I'll be fine. I'm hanging on to my silver because it's been rigged for 180 years and it's about to blow. I get that. I get that too. Who do you think is going to be buying all the cryptos after the price of silver goes from $50 to $600, $800, $5,000? It's all the silver lovers go, hey, I got some play money here. I'm going to go buy a couple cryptos, and boom. Anything outside of the system in your own control, where there's no third party you have to rely on, is perfect. This is Bix Weir. I will talk to you guys later.